Hello, Miss Henry.
Hello.
I am back with your newly born baby, and he is just fine and dandy and healthy, but I would like to inform you that your child has been diagnosed with Down syndrome.
How did that happen?
Here, how about you take your child?
Oh,
This is caused when an extra chromosome, number 21, is present after meiosis.
okay. So what does this mean for my baby?
Patients with Down syndrome have fewer teeth, delayed tooth eruption, and increased levels of periodontal disease.
Okay, so how did this happen?
We'll let the detective figure out what happened to this baby.
I'm the detective in this case, and I'm gonna get to the bottom of this. So tell me about yourself.
I am the embryonic stage of prenatal development. As a second stage of prenatal development, I was in fact not the last person to see the baby. At my point of development, the blastocytes give rise to and can now be identified as an embryo, which is a differentiated implanted zygote.
What were you doing between weeks 2 and 8?
During the 2nd and 8th week of prenatal development, I was busy forming most of the basic organs, excluding the sex organs. Sections of the brain, parts of the central nervous system, and structures of the peripheral nervous system.
Did you experience any complications during this event?
Well, one complication I experienced was congenital scoliosis, but unfortunately nobody will ever know about this until the baby is a few months older. I don't believe I experienced any other complications, but who knows? I would try to look at the other stages of development.
What role did you play in this event?
I am a very important stage relating to the baby, as I am very crucial for development of the brain, and it is very dependent on me. I didn't want to mention this, but I want to be straight up. I am also the most sensitive time for when birth defects could be formed. Does this mean I was responsible for the baby's malformation? No.
Do you know anyone else who could be at fault?
Honestly, I would shift my focus to the fetal period rather than me, since they really help the baby mature and grow. Seems like something would have happened during that time period, not to mention they were the last person to be seen with the baby.
So tell me about yourself.
To start things off, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am the pre-implantation period, and I occur a few weeks after conception. This is the first stage of development where there is a lot of cellular growth.
What were you doing between conception and week 2?
During this time, the ovum was fertilized by the male sperm to form a zygote. The zygote soon undergoes mitosis and meiosis. Mitosis involves cellular growth, while meiosis focuses on joining chromosomes. After the zygote stops traveling, it finally embeds in the uterus.
Did you experience any complications during those weeks?
Not really, but ectopic pregnancies are pretty common in my period. But that is only if the fertilized egg embeds outside of the uterus.
What role did you play in those weeks?
The most important part of my period is to get the embryo ready to implant into the uterus.
Do you know anyone else who could be at fault?
My best guess is to investigate the embryonic period. And this period is where most of the malformations typically occur.
So tell me about yourself.
Okay, my name is the fetal period. I'm the last period with the baby. I am the reason that the baby comes out with fingers and toes. I let the baby mature, this thing here. I spend the most time with the baby. That's more than my friends can say. I know my baby, and I know that my baby should be continuing embryonic development. This little thing forms a spinal cord, begins to kick me with its little legs, even has a heartbeat. It just gets stronger and stronger. When the baby leaves my stage, it'll be born. It'll look just like a human.
What were you doing between weeks 9 and until birth?
Duh.
What did you experience and complications during these events?
Everything matures in my stage, so, there's plenty of room for error, but, I'm pretty perfect, so it's kind of hard to do that,
What role did you play in this event?
Okay, you see, my role was pretty significant. You know, from weeks 9 to 15, which is quite a long time, might I add. Like the tooth buds, those little things in the mouth started to appear. Ugh, don't get me started on those. The eyelids, you know, I can kind of like blink or whatever. You know, from 16th to the 26th week, the brain and the muscles develop. That was a lot of work. And then, you know, from 27 to 38 weeks, the baby's bones, eyes, and brain pretty much just mature from there.
Do you know anyone else who could be at fault?
I mean, surely it wasn't me. I don't do anything wrong. My period's just so easy. You know, some days are difficult, but my period is easy. If I were you, I would talk to the first period. She kind of like gets everything going. All the cells divide, all of that nasty stuff. I don't do any of that. I just, you know, I do my part.
So between these 3 stages, someone is at fault. There's a lot to unpack here, and I need your help in determining who the culprit is. Look at your handout and pick your verdict. Who is guilty? Who is not guilty? How do you plead?
It was definitely not me.
How do you plead?
Absolutely not guilty.
How do you plead?
Not guilty. Duh.
So pre-implantation pleaded not guilty. Embryonic pleaded not guilty. Fetal pleaded not guilty. But I think that we have arrived at a guilty verdict.
Pre-implantation period, you have been found guilty for the malformation of trisomy 21. Stand up, hands behind your back, and let's go.
Pre-implantation, a guilty verdict has been found. What do you have to say for yourself?
Yeah, it was me all along. Now that I am caught, I ought to tell you what happened. During meiosis, there was an extra chromosome present in my period, causing trisomy 21.